All right, welcome to another episode from the Chart Reader. So, really interesting day in the election. And look, opinions aside, we're here to win in the stock market, all right? And while a lot of people are going to complain, are going to get excited, they're going to have emotional opinions about who won and lost, we're trying to stay here, take advantage of what we know, see what just goes, right? And I'm going to talk about these two specifically because of the Elon connection, right? We're going to start with DXYZ and then we'll look at Tesla very quickly, all right? But um, I really, really want to show what Fletch threw on earlier. Look, I love this. And this was yesterday before the election even finished. There was another one if Kamala won, right? And again, doesn't matter who wins, it matters what you do after the winner's declared, right? And this was the list on the Trump side. Look, makes sense, makes sense, makes sense, makes sense. I had a couple questions about the last couple, but again, hey, there's so much to like about just coming up with a plan, right? To me, and I mentioned DXYZ early. I woke up. If you're in the Discord, if you know me well, I don't wake up early. All right, I really don't. And I was up. My first message was basically at the crack of open, and I had my eyes on DXYZ. I'll talk about it shortly, but it came down to support. I saw it right here at that 12. We'll talk about this line right here and all that, but yeah, I mean, it went and obviously hit 17 and came back. And look, I still think that there's more here. I like the weekly a lot. I'll talk about all that, right? The other side of it is Tesla, right? And the connection between the two of them is Elon was the number one donor, the loudest supporter of the person that won, right? Again, opinions aside, that's the side that won, and there's going to be some benefits that come with that, right? So, again, you can see Tesla is not a stock that's supposed to go double digits, all right? Like a good big candle on Tesla, you can see when I clicked into this, it's a 6% candle, right? That's a big candle. This is a big candle right here. It was a 10%, and that includes the gap up and continue, right? Like that, the fact that it opens all the way up here, I mean, that's insane for what essentially is supposed to be just 5% up, 5% up, 5% up every day for give or take. That's what a blue chip is supposed to do, right? So insane, insane gap up right there, both again with the Elon connection, right? So yeah, excited to talk about both of these for sure. But before we do go any further and I give you more of my thoughts and opinions, what are we going to do? Same thing we always do, right? We'll take a look at the daily and the weekly to see how these things are setting up short term. We have our 5 moving averages. There are horizontal support and resistance lines that I do draw manually myself. And then when we are done up here, we'll use the MACD, RSI, and volume as our lower indicators. Hey, really quickly, if you can, please subscribe to this channel. Share this video online. Comment good or bad if you disagree. Look, anything you can do helps so much with these YouTube algorithms. But for real, just being here, giving me your time, oh, I'm so grateful for it. All right, so I said this in the Discord. I'm gonna start the video here with it, and then we'll obviously get into the stock market. All right, but truth be told, I really don't care who wins the presidency. All right. One of the main reasons I trade is to give myself that like financial independence, the freedom, right? Whatever you want to call it, right? But I'm not here hoping a certain president wins and make some like I'm here to dictate my own future. You know what I mean? And that I think helps, who cares, right? It's happened. Let's move on. Let's attack. And to me, the attack simply is, look, Elon. All right, when you were the loudest cheerleader for the team that won, oh, I mean, come on, it's about to be a good time on that side of the fence, right? And I think today showed, especially with this one, right? DXYZ. I had eyes on DXYZ, and again, I started the video with it, right? It really was the first thing I was thinking about this morning. Believe me, I looked at Tesla as well, but for me, I think to myself, this thing's a cheaper stock. And it's funny. I often say, $1,000 in a $1 stock and $1,000 in $1,000 stock. It's the same $1,000, right? But the reason companies do forward splits, the reason that they bring their stock down, right, is because the lower it is, generally the more people buy. Like that's the logic behind a forward split, right? A reverse split's bad. That's when you're making some, silly financial games to bring your stock up, right? But a company does good forward splits to come down because the logic is they're going to buy the $100 instead of the $1,000, right? Like a Google and whatnot, right? So that is just legitimately why I was there. From there, literally, this 7 a.m. screenshot, I mean, it came back down to support, and this could be an interesting spot, right? Like we gapped, we let's just come to the chart. I don't even have to show it right there. We open right here, right? This was the open. It was at $14. You can see it in the box over there. From there, we came all the way down. By the time I took the screenshot, we were sitting at 1260 down here instead of this 14 open, right? Once we hit this line, look again, when I'm always here saying these moving averages are better, all right, they're computer generated and it is what it is, right? When you're over the lines, you gotta have some good lines drawn. And hey, there are pros and cons with the stock that look. This is a brand new stock, DXYZ. It's an ETF, but whatever, right? Like there's not a lot of information here, all right. And I don't use the word easy to sound cocky, right? But it was pretty easy to make the lines. Literally, all I did was take the bottom of this one, and I took the top of it. But really, you could have taken the bottom of that one or the top of that. I'm never here for perfect on my lines anyways, right? But and then from there, the next line's basically the next big candle, right? So when there's very little info, there's good with it because hey, you can draw some pretty good lines with it, but then there's sometimes bad with it, and knock on wood, we're not on the bad side with this ticker right now, right? Look, I'm zoomed out. I clearly see that this thing got as high as $100. Please do not have $100 dream on a $15 stock. All right. I think it's a little bit realistic to think $25, and I'll get to that shortly. But yeah, I mean, I see it. In the back of my head, I have a little bit of a oh man as well, right? Like I'm only human too, right? But this is where we just got to keep things realistic. I'll probably draw one more line if I had to guess, but hey, believe me, it's not going to be anywhere near 50 or higher, right? Like again, this is still just a $15 stock, okay? So we're going to keep things in perspective. Let's come down here just a little bit and look. There's a couple things that quickly jump out at me. Today was the fourth biggest volume day. All right, this was the biggest, this was the second, this was the third. From there, I think this is the fourth one because it clears this line just a little bit better. All right. We've seen some goes and drops, right? Pumps and dumps, whatever you want to call them, right? This was a very big one. Okay, this was sub million. So right, it took 4x to get us to the million, and then another 5x over this. So this was a 20x jump in volume. All right, I don't know how pump and dump it's gonna be. Like I don't have a crystal ball. Like even in my the one and the two, my like what I consider better indicator stack, right? Like there's nothing that's gonna let me know if it's gonna pump and dump tomorrow, right? But I think volume is the most important thing going into tomorrow. All right, so I'm gonna bring out my calculator. 4 million shares is the lowest. Oop, numlock. 4 million shares is the lowest this can be in a 7 hour trading day. So we basically need about a 500,000 shares an hour. Hopefully, we're a little closer to like 1 point something, maybe even a nice 2 in the second hour, right? And again, if you can get to about half of it in only 2 hours, today was about 5, I'm asking for 2 in 2 hours, that's going to be a really nice sign, right? But 4 million shares, that's the like 500,000 shares an hour is the bare minimum I'm willing to take. All right, sorry, my throat's a little dry. I'm gonna get some water. One sec. So from there, let's talk the candles. I can see 490 being some sort of realistic downline, right? Basically half of today. I'm zooming out just a little bit to see if there's anything here. What are you? Okay. I think this 1430 Looks like it's 1440 actually. That's the high of this candle. I think 1450. So let's say this between 1490 and 1450, I think is my healthy come down number. I think you can come all the way down there and actually still be bullish. Do not lose that because it could actually be a pretty fast fall down to 12, right? I mean, just look at this channel. Red, 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 green, 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 red, 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 green, 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 red, 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 nothing, 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 green, green. It could be a red down, right? So do not go any lower than 1450, right? Like this was 1444. So yeah, 1450 I think is a good safe number. Obviously, the goal at this point is to get over 17. Truth be told, I think all we really need to do is get over the open today. If you can get into the $16 range, I do believe that this thing's going to take off, all right? The last thing I want to show, because I think I called it out before it like took off too. Right here. Okay, again, this was around 7:15. Let's come to the 15-minute chart. All right. Again, I'm in LA, so 7 o'clock my time is 10 o'clock, right? So I messaged it around this 10:15 candle. So 1390 was my money line. If that broke, things could have gone silly today for DXYZ. All right. Where was that line? Was this the line? This was the line. 1390. I don't know. Maybe it was one of my other indicators. Roughly speaking, though, once it broke that 1390, right? It's basically right there. That's exactly where it is, right? It just went silly and it ran all the way to that next resistance line up, right? So things can happen quickly, and I'm not here bragging about the money line. That's not what it is, right? But when you got the hype and the volume, and I mean, look, all the volume is in the more like it's strike it early and go. You know what I mean? So I think I'm going on a little bit of a tangent. I apologize for that, but yeah, I think that's at least enough of this thing. The 1450 low. Let's break 16 after the 17. Let me draw one next line. I think I would draw that. I think I would take 50% of that, not the top of it. I think the top is probably an interesting line as well because that's essentially a gap up line, right? Um, I think I'm gonna take that half right there. Let me just see the weekly if it disagrees with me. No, not really. No, not really. I like that. I think 3150 is that next line up. Again, I think for now the best target to keep is 25 on a $15 stock. Let's just see if it continues. Volume is told. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions. Even if you disagree. Did I look at the weekly? I don't think I looked at the weekly. Man, I hope I wasn't ranting too much. I apologize. Look, this is an interesting weekly for so many different reasons, all right? I think starting off down here, that's a really nice RSI. That's a good divergence at only a 64. This kind of tells me that this thing's going to go weeks and weeks. I even forgot to talk about the man, I did not. I feel like I could have done such a better job. So look, if you go into their website and literally you can see how dumb my Google search was, right? All I did was because again, this is an ETF, right? What's your top holdings? It brings the website. You scroll just a little bit lower and you can see how high of literally it is 3x, almost 4x. Actually, it is more than 4x, right? Because 9 times 4 is 36. This is more than 4x the size of the number 2 holding. This is a huge, huge, huge weight on a portfolio, right? And you can see a couple other cool names. I know OpenAI. I know Epic Games. I don't really know anything else. I know Instacart and Swipe, right? But again, whatever. These are the insignificant things. Hey, Discord, look at that. I had no idea. The only thing that matters is this is literally more than 4x the number 2 holding. The SpaceX is their biggest investment, right? So just ride the Elon wave. until the lines say no. I think losing 1450 could be an interesting thing. Hey, look, we've used this line once before. It's not a bad line if it comes back down here. We're obviously over all the moving averages on the daily and the weekly as well. I sincerely apologize if I ranted. I feel like I did. I think I'm just gonna let's just do some Tesla stocks, Tesla thoughts. Wow. Oh my gosh, goodness. I apologize, my people. All right, really quickly on Tesla. In my opinion, this is the type of stock that's only supposed to go, like, this is essentially an index, right? Like, when a stock becomes so blue chip, when a stock, like, this thing has done, I think, at least 3 forward splits by now, if I'm not mistaken. Like, when you are that level blue chip, in my eyes, you're essentially an organ of the Nasdaq. You're an organ of the S&P 500, right? I don't know if you're the brain or the spleen or whatnot, right? But hey, you are essentially an index on your own. And to me, it's not like it's going to move about 1%. Like, it's not that significant of an index. But to me, these generally move about 3 to 5% a day, mostly up. That's kind of what blue chips should do, right? But yeah, this thing should be moving about 5% up, 3% down, 5% up, 3% down. Call it a nice week with that blend, right? You get what I'm saying, right? To gap, literally, this thing didn't even have to do that much work. This stock opens at $284.64 and basically closes right there, just a couple bucks above it, right? Like, all the work happened. It This was a monster gap up. It really was. And I think and look, they just had earnings. This gap up right here was earnings related, and it was very much like a fundamental, because of Tesla Inc. itself, reason. All right. There was no, moving average bounce. There was no 20 moving average, 8 moving, like, none of the, this was what happens when the number one donor of the guy that won, like, to believe that Elon is going to start getting some government contracts is a fair assumption. It's completely an assumption, but hey, probably the biggest phrase in trading is buy the rumor, sell the news. Right now, the rumor is, SpaceX is probably going to get some government contracts. Tesla might even get, dude, imagine the US Army buys a bunch of Tesla cars. No one has deeper pockets than the US Army. No one has deeper pockets than the military and the government, right? So believe me, all the money that Elon put into all the Twitter things and the appearances and all that, it's just like we're doing when we buy stocks, right? I'm buying low and selling high, or whatever phrase you want to use. Like, look, he invested and he's about to look for his investment, right? Like, that's what's about to happen. That's a beautiful MACD. That's a beautiful RSI, good divergence. Look at the volume. And I mean, the best part is, you look at the S&P 500, same gap up, monster candle. You look at the NASDAQ Comp Q. Look at this thing. We're actually well over my golden line. Look at that thing. Dow Jones was the monster. DJ30. Dow Jones was over 3% when I looked at it. 3.5% end of the day. Goodness, right? And I mean, I can just see it easily on the weekly. All-time highs on the Dow, all-time highs on the S&P 500. NASDAQ, are you already there, or are you knocking on the door? Oh man, I think you're knocking on, no, you're there. You're there. You are all-time highs. That was the golden line. So all three at the moment are in all-time highs. I mean, again, there's just so much to like here, right? So, hey, I hope this wasn't a bad video. I feel like I went on a little bit long on the first part, but hey, I appreciate you so much.